Joining me today on Premier Gospel is Tommy Royale. Welcome to Premier Gospel. How are you doing today?
How's it going? I'm excited. It's an honor. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited for this conversation.
Awesome. So the first thing that I want to discuss is your new album, Fama y Faye. So could you just tell us a little bit about the title and about how the album came together? Because you've been around for a few years, in the back, coming to the front, and now here we are.
That's kind of crazy. Yeah, it does feel like it was like front to back to the front, like over the course of like what, 3 years. Man, it's been a roller coaster. It's been a lot of fun. So this album, Kardik and I, we started working 2018, and we just started doing music. We're like, hey, let's see what this chemistry looks like, how we work, and it kind of worked, right? So we started doing features, and the features just got a little bigger. But as we're doing that, I was still trying to figure out what my sound is, vocally, stylistically, and then Cardiff was trying to figure out what the sound is for like production wise, because every artist, like there's a lot that goes into an artist's sound. It's not just their voice. It's also like beat selection. There's an art form in that. There's a lot that goes into it. So with 3 years just through features, we're able to figure out like, all right, cool, I sound good here, I sound okay here, we could tighten it up here. And I know just one day I felt like our vision was kind of like grow in this space, and not just in the Christian world, right? More like just in the world in general, to show people, like, I mean, for me, I have a big passion for what it is to be like in the world and showcase or be the example of what like a Christian man looks like, or how like the lifestyle, like lead more through testimonies and less through words, because everybody could talk pretty, right? But it's like there's a passion of like, hey, this is how I walk. This is like, so just with that in mind and that in my heart, like, I don't know, just one day I really wanted to do an EP originally, or a mixtape, or an EP, or something, some body of work, because I've never released anything, and that was just the title. Fama y Fe means fame and faith, and I really wanted to just capture like that equilibrium of what it is to just grow in the space of what is art, what is music, without compromising my faith. And I feel like with that vision in mind, we're able to work towards this project. I will say though, we recorded three or four variations for this album. Like, it kept changing over the 2 years that we were working on the album. So yeah.
Wow. What's your favorite track?
You
That's a hard
asked me.
question to ask any artist, but if you had if this is the introduction to Tommy Royale, what are three songs that you would tell our audience to listen to?
See, I could do top three right
Yeah,
now.
that's the top three.
Right now, it changes, right? It changes. It's also, I like to say, there's certain tracks that, like, it depends on the time of day. At nighttime, there's certain tracks that stick out more than in the morning. But if we're talking right now, Gitana, Antagonista, and Como Mal, and that one, that's the one that changes. Gitana and Antagonista are my top two. Como Mal is sometimes Miami. If it's the morning and I'm just driving in the morning, Todo Dia, like, that one fluctuates. So right now it's Como Mal.
Awesome. And what are some of your musical influences in genre and then also artists as well?
Oof. So that was so it's funny you asked that question, because the reason why the album kept changing is because, like, I had a vision sonically, Kardik had a vision sonically, so we had to find the middle ground. Like, all right, listen, we got to figure out project, So, man, influences musically, and even with artists, it varies. It varies. I mean, I've always, if we're gonna name drop, I've always been a fan of Kanye. Always, always. I've always been a fan of reggaeton. I'm a pop head. I love pop music. So I was like, yo, I want to incorporate some of that. How would that sound like coming from a Latin artist, and so it's just it was everywhere, really, the influence. And I think that's what made creating this project so hard, but also what made this project so special, you know?
And then something that I can't not ask you is about obviously Blue Miracle, the soundtrack. How many tracks did you have on there? Like 5? Is it 5?
I think it was 5. Yeah, I think it was 5 tracks.
And then also Lecrae, Reach Records, having that like artist development, that mentorship, that investment in you in your early career. Let's discuss.
So
Crazy.
what happened?
It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's wild. I tell RG this all the time. You know, what up, RG? I tell him like the phrase that the way we put it. It was, "I'm just a fanboy." Just like living the dream in a sense, right? Because every time I get these opportunities, I'm never in a room with Lecrae and used to it. You
Mm.
know, every time in a room with Lecrae, I'm just like, holy cow, like
Yeah.
like I'm still in this room, you know, like and same with Raul. Every time RG freaking texts me, he sent me a picture of me making fun of me. He does it all the time, random texts, and and it's funny. That's my brother, but every single time, like, wow, we're really like, dang, like I'm here, you know, and it's surreal, it's fun, it's honoring, and that's helped me out a lot. Of course, I think I grew quickly because I had that initial like, hey, who's this artist? Let's connect, and then from there on, we kind of just, you know, connected. It was, I don't know, it's one of those things where you can see that God's hand is really in it. We always say like, my team and I, we try to plan everything. We're like, hey, let's be strategic with everything that we're doing, and we are. But it's like we plan up to a certain extent, and then leave some wiggle room for God.
Yeah.
Uh, that's what makes a difference, and He's really surpassed our expectations every time. So
I love that. So I kind of want to go into your upbringing, your testimony, all of that type of thing. So I believe you were brought up in a Pentecostal church. Is that correct?
yes, yeah.
And then you became a youth pastor for, was it like 10 years? Was that correct?
I was a youth leader for, yeah, you've done your research.
Came in prepared.
Yeah, in fact, he came swinging. No, I was a youth leader for 11 years. I was in a Pentecostal church my whole life. So my parents were always in the faith. Like, I mean, granted, I was born in Puerto Rico, so predominantly Catholic Christian, right? I think most Hispanics are raised with some sort of knowledge of God and some sort of religious upbringing, some sort of religious structure. My parents, they put us in a Christian church around, I was what, 5 years old? My sister's over here. 5 years old. And from there, we're just like, I don't, we're raised in it, you know? And the thing about Pentecostal churches, they put you to work. So,
they really do.
yeah, they really do. Were you raised Pentecostal?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, let's go. So
you know the move of the Spirit before you can read the Bible.
100. Literally, I was 11 years old, 12 years old, already like a youth leader in a sense. I was like shouting under my youth leader. I was leading 16-year-olds at 11. I'm like, I don't know what the heck I'm going, not like what's going or what I'm doing, but yeah, I'm really grateful for that. I was, you know, we were preaching young, and I just kind of grew in that environment. I'm really grateful for it because it's like it set a foundation for me, you know. And I think there's been a lot of interesting things that comes up with the music scene, right? Like we're growing in music, so there's a lot of good, there's a lot of ugly, but with everything that arises, just having that foundation, I'm like, all right, cool. My spirit doesn't feel comfortable with this, or you know, like it's really shaped who I am as a man, and it's really shaped my lifestyle, I would say. So I'm grateful for it.
And I believe you left your childhood church into adulthood, and then you found God for yourself in your new church community. So what was that experience like, stepping away from the church that you knew and then finding God for yourself in adulthood, stepping into spiritual maturity? Can you just speak to that and just impart any wisdom you have?
Yeah, I would say that was the hardest season of my life, stepping away from that, because It wasn't done how it's a little personal. It wasn't done in the healthiest of ways. It was a small church, and I just said small church like that. I look like a cowboy. Sorry, excuse that.
I'm here for it. It's fine. Tommy Royale
um,
swag.
you know, no, it was a small church. And good thing about it being so small, it was that everybody was family, right? Everybody was heavily involved in your life. That's good. It also comes with a lot of problems, as you can imagine. Everybody knows everything. And the issue is that was when that time came where the church was just, whether it was finances, whether it was, shifting in the leaderships, it didn't do so well just because there wasn't a proper foundation, at least what it is, like a support for the church. So there was a moment of like, we were holding on to this church. Me and a few other people were made. I was 23, made a pastor, essentially a pastor, because I was now in the head of this church of like a congregation of like 100 or something. And that was terrible because it was like overnight. They didn't know what I was doing. No one knew what they were doing. It was just like tough. Our pastor stepped aside, right? And it was really harsh. And we just, after 6 months or so, we made the decision like, hey man, this isn't healthy for anyone. Nobody's receiving at the church, and those who are leading are drained. So giving from an empty well is tough, and spiritually it does a number on you, right? So we made the decision to step aside, and just like the church kind of like dissipated after that. That was really tough, right? So it was weird because it wasn't my decision, but it was my decision, right? It was like out of necessity. Um, so it was terrible, at least that season. But with that, there was a moment where like, I don't have a pastor right now. I don't have a pastor. I don't have that that structure of what is like a leadership. I don't know who to call to right now. I don't know who to guide me, who's gonna teach me. So it was like almost like in the wilderness. It's just me by myself. I'm in this desert. And with the danger of that situation, right, is that it could go two ways. One, you could just, I'm done with church. I've gone through this. I've known what it is to be in this. I don't like this, and step away from God. Or the opposite, which thank God is what the route, kind of how it happened with me, is God, I've known you've been real in my life. I've seen you move. I've seen you bless me. I've seen, like, just looking back at your testimony, right? Just looking back at what God's pulled me out of, like, I just need you to figure something out for me. And the cool thing about being helpless and calling out to God is that's when God's power shows. And through that season, I really found who God truly is. I mean, I've been serving since I was 11. So at 23, it's the first time I'm not serving at a church. It's the first time where I don't have to give to anybody. So I start receiving. I start looking. I'm hungry because I'm desperate and I need to eat. And yeah, just God spoke to me clearest then than any time I've heard Him. And also, when there's no structure, you taste freedom. And I saw what freedom was truly in God. And it just is, it's crazy, right? How like, it's crazy. Trauma really like matures you, but through that, I was like, oh, wow. Okay, cool. That's where I was. Here's where I'm at. There's a long way to go, but like, I see how we can grow in a healthy way. So, yeah.
So, do you have any advice for people who might be in that season of transition? Can you speak to that? And then also maybe from your perspective, what healthy church community looks like?
Yes. I could speak on first. Healthy church community looks like community. It doesn't look like, it is not controlling. It's not, these are rules and it's a yes or you're out. Like, it shouldn't feel small. A healthy community doesn't feel small. A healthy community feels like, there's a group. There's a group of people who are all willing to help. You could find your people, right? And you could find help if you need it. And if they don't, know. They don't pretend to know. They say, hey, I don't know. We're honest about it, but I know somebody who might, or let's look for a second. That's what a healthy community looks like. I was, yeah, I saw what it is to be like in a community where it's like, it felt very small. And if you can't figure something out, you're helpless. You know, you shouldn't feel helpless in a community, you know? So always look for those red flags. Man, I feel helpless here. Okay, there's some growing that needs to be done somewhere in this situation. So always look for those red flags and be honest with yourself. You know, always be honest, because it's really easy to justify a red flag. You know, and like, oh, you know what, maybe it's because if you feel uncomfortable, it's for a reason. You know, the spirit moves, and don't gaslight the spirit. Uh, so that, and the other thing is for people who are in transition, man, just call, I don't know, just put God first. It sounds super cliche. It sounds super like Pentecostal, but when you put God first, you take power away from you. So in the sense, there's pressure that's released. There's anxiety that's still there, right? But when you give it to God, it's like, God, I just need you to figure this out because I don't know what's going on. So transitions are important. Transitions are is growth, but transitions are awkward, and you just gotta trust the process. Put God first, seek God first, and then from there you should be in a good path to grow properly.
So, how did that season kind of prepare you for the elevation of your music ministry and platform? And how did you kind of see God open the doors for you in music?
Okay, first question.
Yeah.
Let's break this. So, what
Okay.
was the first question?
First question is, how did you see God move in your season of preparation, and how did that lead you into where you are now? So, like your elevation in Christian music.
So, I again, just that sense of freedom that I felt able to exercise my personality.
Mm.
I was like, all right, what do I like? You know, like how like I've always liked this, but I've always felt like it was weird or taboo, right? In a specific environment. But now I don't have it, you know, that environment at least. So let me just explore this. Let me wear a cowboy hat in the middle of the city where nobody else wears a cowboy. You know, like it sounds silly, but I was like, what do I want to do? Like let me be true to my personality. Um and that helped me discover, if we're talking about the music, stylistically who I am, how my sound is, like do what I want to do, and no one's gonna, you know what I'm saying, this is me, honey. Like I'm gonna do this. Uh, so that helped me there, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And then just how did God open the doors for you with music? Is it just
That
God's favors on your life? That's it. That's it. But
yeah,
yeah,
that's it.
that's it.
That's it's because like this question could be very specific, right? And you'd be like, well, in September of 2018, the Lord sent a DM. No, like, no, like it. Yeah, it's just God just opened doors for me. You know, it's wild. It's surreal. Like even with this album we released it in April 29th, January, March, April 29th, and we had plans, right? We wanted it to do well, but the album hit.
Debut at like number 2 on iTunes,
It
right?
debuted on number 2 in the Latin charts. That's around the world. Like the biggest genre in music right now is Latin music, and it debuted at number 2. Crazy, but it's one of those things where like I don't know how it happened, but I know God's hand was in it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And one thing that I kind of find interesting about you is your interest in bridging the gaps between culture and faith, so bringing faith into mainstream media, mainstream music. So could you just talk a little bit about that and like what you would like to do? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's where my passion's at. I'm an artist. And the thing about artists, and you know, like I think, well, I feel like we're all artists in a certain extent. But it's like when you have a passion for something, you want to explore something. Like you don't want boundaries. I don't like. I don't feel comfortable being boxed in. I was boxed in my whole life, you know. And now it'd be like, all right, like let's push this. Like there's no reason why if I'm a Christian, I should hold back. No, I think there's a lifestyle that we should uphold, but I shouldn't have to focus on how I dress or how I walk or what I, like, let me be free, let me be me. And I'm like, I've always been into art, I've always been into fashion, I've always been into like, I was a drama kid. Yeah, like let me express that. So I have that passion. I think Christians should be the head. Back then with the Renaissance period, like all of these art pieces that are famous, the one that stuck came from the church. So like I believe the church should be the face of art. I think the church should lead culture instead of following culture. So I got that. I
Ooh,
got that. And
that's a whole sermon. That's a
it's all.
whole word. That's a word for our generation. Um, so something else that I during my research that I found fascinating, you fasted before the album was released.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously proofs in the pudding. That's something we say here. And it's just interesting to me how, like you said, debuted at number 2, you fasted, you take that very seriously, how you work with your team and you collaborate. And yeah, can you speak to like spiritual disciplines, what your spiritual disciplines look like, and how they play a role in your success?
Yes, I want to let everybody know, whoever's listening to this, um, I consider myself spiritually disciplined, and what spiritual discipline looks like. Every once in a while, we have our seasons when we're not spiritually disciplined. Like that's okay. Like I just gotta let everybody know I don't got everything together. But I think there's a beauty in this. Is just me. That's my preface before I jump into it. There's a beauty in having your high seasons, your low season, jumping back into your high seasons. Like I think that's what balance is. There's never it's always a like, oh, string a little to the left, let's go to the right. Like that's what balance looks like. So with that being said, I fasted for this album. Again, give God room to move, to control, to wiggle around in your plans. Fasted, I prayed, I try to stay in my word. I'm not a big reader at all, guys. Like in high school, I had to do a project on a book. I had to read a novel, and I cheated the system by reading a comic book. Like, like I don't like reading,
Give me the
but
pictures.
real facts, yeah. And then you know how I got past with it? They're like, oh, they're like, man, it's supposed to be a novel. I said it is. It's a graphic novel, so and it worked.
The
But
personality of the drama kid meeting everything's working together.
yeah, 100%. But I'm not a big reader. But this last year and a half, I've been forcing myself to read. I've been in the same book for several months on. But for someone who doesn't reading, like I think that's what discipline looks like. Biblically, you kill your flesh, right? I've been almost 2 years now, heavy into working out. Wake up at 5 a.m. 4 days a week.
How?
To hit.
I'm trying, but
It's it's tough. It sucks. And get an accountability partner. Like I have a trainer who's also a friend of mine, so that helps with like if you don't show up to the gym, he roasts you, and then he's on top of you until you show up the next day. Like get someone who's gonna push you. But I think that's what discipline looks like: killing your flesh every single day. Every single day, you grow that way. Be uncomfortable, like seek discomfort. So yeah, and then again, it's putting your desires behind, and then what your goal is, what you're aiming for in the forefront, right? In this case, like it was this album, but so I put me behind, put God in the driver's seat, like, all right, cool, I'm a fast. I've always been a believer in fasting. I've always believed that fasting works. I've seen it work in my life every single time I've fasted, for answers, for guidance, for miracles. Like I've seen it work. So yeah, I think discipline is just killing your flesh. What do you want to do, and find ways on how to cut it and replace.
That's awesome. So could you share some of your favorite resources, your favorite Christian leaders, anyone you listen to online, your favorite podcasts, any books,
Yes. Well,
anything?
the book that I'm reading right now is currently my favorite communicator. Shout out to Erwin Raphael McManus. Fire. He's from Mosaic in Los Angeles. A great communicator. Great podcast called Battle Ready, and great book called The Genius of Jesus. So that's it. That's the right now.
That's the full spec.
Yeah, I'm on an Erwin McManus binge right now. So
awesome. And do you have any advice for artists coming up in the Christian music space? Because I feel like there's a lot of conversation about CHH, and like, I mean, I feel like the Latin space is hugely underrepresented, and it's just cooking, and then it's gonna explode, like, and we'll all be here, like, we told you. So yeah, just any advice for people coming into this space?
Yeah, there's a lot of CHH artists emerging right now. Like, it's crazy. Just keep doing you. I think just be true to yourself. And never mind. Make good art. That's it. Just make good art. If you are growing in CHH, if you feel like this is the space you wanna grow in, if you're like, yo, I want to do this, but with this, you also, you bear the flag of a Christian. Everything you do represents God. And if you're representing God, make sure you do it in excellence. So whatever you do, just make good art. That's it. You don't want to embarrass our God. Don't be a Christian version of someone who's already out there.
That's good advice. Very good advice.
Thank you.
It's solid advice. It's working for you, so I think
It's working, right?
Yeah.
It took me so long to figure that. Like, I knew it, and I'm walking like I'm gonna be my own self. But it took a long time. It's not easy. It takes a long time, because the hardest thing about not being a version of someone else is figuring out who you are and who you sound like. What do you sound like? What do you look like? Like, what do you stand for? And that's hard. That's not easy. But once you figure it out, that's it. The proof's in the pudding.
Yeah. You're going to take that now.
Yeah.
I'm going to hear it in a rap or a freestyle. I'm like, see, that was from the UK.
Spanish, though.
But Spanglish market is growing, so you can always jump in.
This is true.
So also something that I heard you speak about was learning about delegation with your team and music videos. I mean, you put this video up yesterday, and you said, guys, if you want me to make a music video, someone needs to show me. So what does it look like working with your team? What's your workflow, your process?
I know I said that, but I feel like I said that within my friends. I don't know who's the FBI agent you're working with.
I'm a journalist by trade, so I've done my research. Yeah.
This is great. I love this interview.
Good. I'm glad. That's like the best compliment you could ever give me. So thank you.
It's just like, it's always the same question. Like, how long you work on it?
Yeah.
When it have a feature with this, I don't know. And then that's it. We're done. Like, you said, nah, bro. Like,
yeah, no, we're gonna do. We're gonna go and cover all the things.
Well, I forgot the question. What was it? Oh, delegating.
Yeah.
Okay, you said, and what's it look like working with my team? That was the question, right?
Yeah.
So I'm figuring it out. That's the season I'm in right now. I've done everything. Like, I think so. My thing is, I feel like I'm not the greatest musical artist. I think there's a few things that help me, right? I'm a people person. I think that's helped me get really far. And the other thing is, I'm a fast learner. So I was able to learn how to edit my videos, how to record myself, how to market myself a certain way. So the good thing about that is, like, I'm the Swiss Army knife. You know what I'm saying? One man band. I do it all. The bad thing is that when you grow and there's a lot of demand, it's like, crap. All right, well, I can't do it all. So I'm figuring out how to delegate. That is the season. That's the name of the game right now for me. Like, that's been the hardest thing, because I'm very, I just know how to do it all. Thank God, though, God's placed really good people around me. Mm-hmm. For example, things got a lot easier when, because there's layers to it. things got really easy or easier when Cardiff came into the picture and said, "Hey, bro, we got to change all of this." And I'm like, "Perfect. I can't produce. You know, you're a fire A&R. So what sounds cool? What doesn't?" That helped my music. Then my manager came in, Alex. He was like, "Bro, let's get you organized." Perfect, because I'm a scattered brain, and everything is happening right now in my head. So, and he helped me stay focused. He helps me stay focused. I have my boy Adrian, who shoots my pictures. He said, "Bro, can I shoot this for you?" Sure. Fire. I love this picture. Could you shoot everything? That's ADP on IG. So little by little, like, God's putting good people. I think right now we're just figuring out the music video. That's the last bit. Once we figure that out, then that's it. But
No stopping.
I think just trust, finding people who you trust. That's
Mm.
what it is. You know, I'm fortunate enough to have a team whom I trust. Like, it's not just people who are talented; it's people who love me. You know, and I've noticed that there's not a lot of people who have that. I was in a studio the other day, and they're like, "Damn, bro, you got a fire team, bro." Like, I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Yeah, you can tell they care about you." I'm
Mm.
like, "Bro, that's the biggest thing." Like, I have a manager who I'm not scared of, and this happens to so many people. Like, if we get a uh, little like tea on the music industry, but there's artists who have managers stealing from them. There's artists who have, like, there's so many things happen that you don't trust your team. Thank God I have I know I've been blessed, and God's put. They're all friends. I work with friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it is.
Yeah, working with friends is makes a big difference, I think, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so two more questions for you. One being, who are some of your favorite Christian artists? That could be CHH. I'm also always interested to hear who you like in the Latin space, who's up and coming in Spanglish, Christian music. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think everybody who I've featured on my album are people who I listen to. So we got, of course, What Up RG is in the top. Always been, always will be. Um, then we got Nico M in the Latin scene.
Um,
If
producing,
you know,
writing, everything.
oh yeah, you know, never mind, you know.
I know about this art. Yeah, I've spoken to him.
Yeah, I was about to go into if you guys have it, like, no. He said he writes, he produces. Yeah, like, yeah, you're right. He does
He
it
told
all.
me he had a whole catalogue of like English music, and I'm like, bring it to me.
Bro, you connected with Nico?
Yeah.
Bro, that's my brother. I
Yeah,
love him so.
he's awesome. He's so encouraging.
He is,
Yeah,
man.
he's like such
No,
a nice person. Such
did
an
you know I got married and Nico sent me, he's like, "Bro, send me your I forgot what it is, like what you want people to buy, your registry. Send me your registry, send him the link." He bought the most expensive thing on there. I'm like, "Bro, what the heck?" It's a
oh,
Roomba. Little
um,
vacuum. It cleans the whole apartment by itself. You just gotta schedule it. I'm
see
like,
how
"This is
like every day he just is blessing your life.
yes, he really is." So yeah, Nico, I love you, bro. So Nico, What Up RG, Few, 1K Few is amazing. Who else, bro? Town X. If you haven't heard Town X is dope. Borrero's on the album. He's cool. Who else, man? There's a lot.
Yeah,
There's a lot.
there's a lot of people.
Uh, yeah, there's a lot of people.
There are a lot of people. I think.
Oh, Don Rivko. Don Rivko's dope too. Have you heard of Don? No, so he produces all his stuff. He's the other artist that signed to No Apologies. We currently got two artists. The one and only, the infamous Tommy Royale.
Yeah.
And then you got Don, and so he's dope too.
No,
Um,
you're putting me on to artists. I appreciate that. And then my last question for you is, I always ask this to people when they come on my show. This is a platform for you to put your biggest dreams out into the world that you want to share. So if you could collaborate with anyone in case they see it, who would you like to collaborate with? Spanish, maybe mainstream too, secular, Christian, all of the names. Just drop them here, and we'll
yeah,
leave it there.
there's so many artists like Kanye West.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting it out there. My dream collab, you're gonna laugh, right? Justin Bieber. You know, like,
Makes sense though.
hold on. I know there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. But right now, Kanye West, Justin, Then we got a bunch of Latin artists as well, like the top Latin artists that I listen to, a lot of them, you know. I'm blessed because all of the top Christian artists who I wanted to collab with, I've collabed with, except with the exception of one who were supposed to make it happen, but he's working on a lot of projects. He also owns a label, the biggest label. So yeah, so we'll
Like,
make it.
tell us who it is officially.
You know who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he owns a label. His name rhymes with the Fray.
I mean, he's gonna be back in the UK in like 2 weeks. Is all I'm gonna say. He was here like last week, and he's coming back.
Huh?
Yeah.
I'm flexible, bro. Let me fit in your bag.
Literally. I mean, he's here for a showcase. He's here for a Reach showcase with Limo Blaze. So that's what I'm saying.
Limo Blaze is so dope too. Limo Blaze is another person I want to work with.
Oh, I would love that. I would really love to see that.
And it makes sense too. Our music isn't like in the same.
You know, he's done a lot of amazing collaborations. Like, yeah.
I got it. Hit him up.
You do. I'm giving you a call to action from this interview. Reach out to Limo Blaze.
Now, Limo Blaze, let's get something cooking, my brother.
And do you have anything else that you'd like to share with our audience or our listeners? Just anything you'd like to say as a word of encouragement? Anything that you'd like to promote that we've not discussed?
Yeah, keep streaming the album. Keep streaming the album. We're showing the world that people from the church can make really good art. And for all those who are just looking for encouragement, God's got it. There's a phrase that my pastor said once, and it stuck with me. It's been like 4 years, and I still think about it. It's more spiritual than you think.
Okay.
So hold on to that when things seem to be a mess. Just remember, it's more spiritual than you think. There's always a spiritual underlining to everything. So just hang in there, whoever's going through stuff, because we all been there, you know?
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. It's going to go, but we'll send you the video when it's out, and this is going to air tomorrow.
Let's go.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for your time.
Bye.
Wish you the best. Bye.